there. So I've hiked up here with a bunch of kind of heavy radio gear to try out setting up my DX Commander Expedition in an area with limited space. Most of the time you see people set these up and they lay them down flat and put all the wires on them and then stand them up, but obviously that wouldn't work in a SOTA type of situation where you're not going to necessarily have 10 meters of available horizontal space. So I've hiked up here on West Side Road. Behind me is the San Diego River Gorge, and kind of right there is Eagle Peak and Cuyamaca Peak there. And I've got a relatively space-constrained area here in these bushes. And I'm going to try setting up the antenna with this technique that I've been experimenting with at home, where I just set it up vertically. So I'll set up the camera and come back. Okay, so the first step I'm going to do here is get the base plate on the mast, so this base plate, and I'm going to kind of extend the mast minimally as far as I can to have enough vertical room to put all the other components on it. And that'll let me guy it down and then extend it upwards, and I can put the wires on it at that point. One little tip, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but I actually stamped the band markings on my driven plate and then colored them in with Sharpie. So they're pretty durable and fairly readable. And that does make a difference, because there's a significant difference in the distance between the feed connector and the various wire connectors. Okay, so now I'm going to extend the top few sections just long enough to make sure they stick out when I get the second section extended. Because that way I can get the second extension up and put all of the rest of these plates in place. And you mainly just need to keep those up so that you can get them out. I guess you could dump them out of the pole after you get everything else on, so that might be another option. Okay, tilt that back a little. We need the third section to be extended so that we can get the anchor plate with the guy wires on, and that goes down after another hose clamp. The hose clamp kind of serves to keep everything from collapsing when you put tension on it. I can just lay these here like this, and what I'll do is I'll go and stake this down, and then I can put the wires on it and extend it the rest of the way. For staking it down, I'm just using cheap aluminum tent stakes like these. I'm sure you could get something fancier, but I haven't seen the need so far. Okay, so it is guyed down at this point. I'm going to go ahead and straighten it out first, now that I see this a little bit crooked, but then put the driven wires on, and then I will erect it in place with the driven wires on. Now, the one tricky thing is for 40 and 15 meters, you get these pieces of aquarium tubing that you have to kind of work the wire through and get it folded over right. It's not horrendously difficult, but it does take a little finagling. So I will put the 40-meter wire on first. If I had a superpower, it would be tangling wires. Okay, that's the 40-meter wire in place. I have a piece of heat shrink on the wire that shows me how far to fold it back, which makes life much, much easier. So we'll get the 17 and the 20-meter elements in place, and then I will go ahead and extend the pole, and we'll basically be done except for putting the ground radials on. There may be some fiddling that needs to be done with the alignment of the plates and the 40-meter element in particular to make sure it's not pulling the pole down at the top, but we'll see how that works. Okay, let's tilt the angle up there, and sure the bait's a little bit loose, so I'm going to tighten it down. Oh, that was a little scary. You got it up and the wind started blowing it. That flex is not from the wire, it's from the wind, and my ground stakes started pulling out. But, yeah, well, it'll hold or it'll fall over. We'll see how it does. So next step is to put the ground radials on, and that's not particularly exciting. So I'm going to stop the video, and I'll come back once I have my operating position set up and the radials and the radio hooked up and everything. Okay, well here's the operating position, and let me say, if you don't have a Helinox chair and a folding table, you're missing out, because it is the lap of luxury. Got the antenna way up there. We've got a Bioenno battery, 857D, laptop, running WSJTX, and we've actually already made a contact with KROP. So that worked pretty well. We're on 40 meters, SWR is flat, just running 50 watts. I could run more, but I'll play around with this a little bit and see how many contacts I can make while I'm up here. Well, I'd call this a success. I made contacts on every band that the antenna is wired for, so that's 40 meters, 20 meters, 17 meters, and 15 meters. Didn't blow over. The wind has died down quite a bit. There were times where I was wondering if it was going to move over and the base slid a little bit and I had to go set it back up. But hey, overall, that's working. The trusty 857D got a little warm in the sun here, but I'm going to let the fans run till they shut off in receive mode. I'm going to pack everything up. I'll film taking the antenna down. It's not very complicated. So I decided to film myself taking the radials and everything down so you can get an idea of how long it takes. Try to get the camera a little bit less crooked, and here we go. There's a little bit of a trick to this because you don't want to let the pieces drop all the way to the bottom unsupported, because then they can get out of order and they won't accordion back together. So I try to not collapse every section initially, just as many as I need to get access to all the wires to disconnect them. If you're wondering, yes, I found that out the hard way. I put the cap on just to make sure I don't make a big mess out of everything while I'm taking the bottom off. This pole is only 26 inches long when it's collapsed, which is really pretty amazing. It's actually shorter than the carbon fiber fishing pole that I bought on Amazon that I use for a lighter weight setup. It definitely weighs more. I think the pole is, well, the pole and the metal plates and the clamps and everything are about 2.5 pounds, and then the wire weighs almost 2.5 pounds by itself. There's just a lot of wire in this antenna. So it's certainly not an ultra lightweight, but you know, it's not horrible. And as I hope you've seen in this video, it can be set up in pretty space constrained areas. Whether it would be an ideal summits on the air antenna, no. it wouldn't. It's way too heavy for that, and way too complicated, and just bulky overall. But it's a good portable antenna for sure. So I'm in no way positioning myself as an expert on portable operations or portable antennas, but I hope this video shows that you can set this thing up in limited space, and it's portable enough to carry to the top of a mountain if you're crazy like I am.